Hello everybody, my name is Anja. Welcome to Resilient Renaissance with me. I wanted to talk about how the most detrimental to a woman is when you are trying to be a good girl and when you ignore all the signs from your intuition, not to do something, not to follow a certain path, not to get married, not to choose stuff. But a young woman like me, I so much wanted to be a good girl. I was so heavily programmed to go against everything that was my true nature, that was a wild, natural woman who follows her intuition. You know, I was born in the Balkans. We were taught not to be that. I was taught to be a good girl, to go against my voice, my inner voice, to go against everything that I felt strongly, and to put the need to be regular, normal, and a good girl in front of everything that was important for me. I so wanted to be liked by my father, who is very patriarchal, and with the patriarchal upbringing, that he just didn't know how to handle how to bring up a little girl. He didn't know how to work with that. My mother was also heavily programmed. She was Hungarian, but she was brought up with the belief system that the male is the crown of God's creation. And I remember the first time I heard this story, my mother was pregnant with my second brother. I was 10 years old, and we were sitting in the meadow with the rest of the elderly women who were they were you know, telling stories, hanging out below a tree. It was like a place to meet for women in the village, in this Hungarian village where my grandmother was born, where we spent our summers as children. And I remember this. My mom was pregnant. It was a time before ultrasound. She still didn't know if she's carrying a girl or a boy, or maybe she just found out, I know. And the women were happy, and I heard this, "Oh, such a joy, you are carrying a little boy." Masculine is the crown of God's creation. And I was pretty shocked upon hearing this, and I was only 10 years old, and everything in my body went against it. I was like, I felt a genuine alarm in every cell of my being, and I asked, "But how can you say this? You are women who are giving birth to this masculine, and you're all women. You're a woman who is pregnant. You are bringing this little seed, this new life to life. How can you say this, that this is the crown of God's creation? What about us? What about me? What about girls? What about you, women?" And they were just looking at me because this was such an old belief, such a cemented, rock hard belief that all these women just looked at me and they didn't give me a good enough explanation. So I just remember how I was left confused with this. You know how they say when generations and generations of your ancestors have been wronged, it's upon the first generation who has enough capacity to heal that wound, it will be on them to heal the whole ancestral line. And I feel from a very young age that it was upon my shoulders. I felt that my batteries were very strong since I was little. I knew that everything I was, my inner strength and my fiery character and my strong intuition and my Jung says, it's the animus, it's the male aspect in us. So it was very strong in me, both feminine and masculine, but I was taught that feminine, that no, you shouldn't listen to that, you shouldn't listen to your needs and your intuitions and stuff like that. You should be a good girl, you should be a good girl. And when this everything that I was going against it, when I was being me, when I was being not a good girl, my parents and my mother and my mothers, they were trying to how do you say, control it, and they proclaimed, these instinctive nature in me, they proclaimed it wrong. What are we going to do with this girl? She can't be handled. Who is going to be able to handle her? She's unbelievable. She is horrible. She is so hard. No one's gonna love you. You're not going to be able to find a good husband for you. Nobody is going to be willing to take you if you are so wild. I was deemed wild and hard to handle. And so I grew up with this belief, and I didn't recognize the blue beard that I was getting married to. I was very naive. I'm mentioning Bluebeard as the archetypal story of a naive woman, saying yes to marriage with an evil man. And she, in the story, she goes against her ancient knowledge and intuition, and she is saying, oh, it's not that blue, the beard is not that blue, oh, he's not that scary, oh, he is pretty nice, oh, he can be great also. So it's a typical story, what happens to the young naive girls who were brought up to go against their instincts and their intuition, and they fall into a trap of life, of whatever. And in the story, the young girl gets almost deadly wounded, but in this process of finding her true power, her natural power, the power of her psyche, the power of her ancient knowledge and everything that she is, she manages to get wise and escape this future that was for her. So yes, I think it's super detrimental for women to go against who they are, to go and try to be good girls and ignore their inner voice, ignore their inner wisdom in the form of our intuition. And nobody has taught us. I think that as women on this planet, we only have maybe some kind of freedoms the last 100 years. Before that, it was horrible. I'm talking about the patriarchal way of this modern Western culture. And I'm not talking about the matriarchal societies that are different. I don't know nothing about that. I was a young girl, a victim of this patriarchal upbringing that went against her, and everything she knew was true for her, just in attempt to be a good girl, to be liked by her dad, to be liked by her programmed mothers, who were brainwashed also by the idea we have to be servants, we have to be here for the divine creation of God that is the masculine. It's bullshit. So I'm reading a book, Women Who Run with the Wolves. It's a beautiful book about the archetypal stories of the wild woman in us, and about the collective unconscious in all the women and people on the world. Dr. Jung called it the collective unconscious. And by reading this book, I realized what happened to me, and I finally am collecting the pieces of making it logical and making it how do you say, I can finally process it. I can finally make right of everything that I've been through and everything that I learned in the last 12 years since my journey of awakening started with this autoimmune, which was my blessing in disguise, and that was my great wake-up call. I really, 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 like the story says, I really needed to let the old woman die in me in order for the new wild woman, the wolf, the she-wolf, to be born in me and to save my own life and put a new perspective and a new context on it. So there's going to be a lot of videos like this. You can like, share, or subscribe to my channel if you like it, and let's make it an interesting conversation about this. Yes, I want to make a new context for myself, and this is my rebirth, and this is my initiation to something new, better, stronger, bigger, and more beautiful. Talk to you soon, guys. Bye.